So I thought we'd ask what the hell happened to Jon Stewart. And you may have seen a lot of his output over the years. I know you did enjoy him back when he did The Daily Show sometime.
When I was in my late 20s and early 30s, I was a big fan of Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
I'm rather embarrassed about that now, I have to say.
Well,
I remember him chewing out Tucker Carlson and the other guy on Crossfire, and now I'm a massive Tucker Carlson fan.
Well, I think there was actually some criticisms of Crossfire, the show, which were relevant, which is that, and his criticism, if you remember, was actually that you guys just divide the country for no real means other than just because for the show, and that's the argument he's given, or at least, purely for ideology, you want to be an extremist.
Partisanship is hurting America.
But the same thing has happened to Jon Stewart, and we can demonstrably show this. And I thought I'd plug here the premium podcast we did, The Origins of Intersectionality, because, well, clearly Stewart has been hitting over the head with this argument again and again to get where he's at now.
He's been totally brainwashed by the Kimberly Crenshaws of the world, because this is a hegemonic view of the left now. You can't be a left-winger without being an intersectionalist, and this podcast explains why.
Yeah. If we go to the next one, I also want to mention Matt Walsh did some nice responses to this, and in here he mentions a point which I think should be made again, which is you occasionally see, like Jon Stewart will say, maybe the virus came from a lab, and there are elements of the right who are like, yes, based. And it's like, no. Right. Like,
why?
No, like, leftist sometimes agrees with the right is a point of, look, there's consensus.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the leftist is based. And you'll see this with occasionally, like, Bill Maher will say, don't you know Republicans aren't all Nazis? The right are like, yeah, oh my God, base man. Is like, okay, no, I'm past this. Like, this needs to stop in that regard. Like, they are behind the times by like a year. Yeah. So it's not anything interesting, even relevant in those points. Although I hope Bill crawls out of that. If we go to the next one, we can see where this goes, though, which is we start off with Jon Stewart on his show, the problem with white people.
I like the way his show is just called The Problem with Jon Stewart. I mean, I agree. What is the problem with Jon Stewart? Like, it's amazing that you've got such an unself-aware show.
So deep, and this one he decides to be the problem with white people, as you can see on the screen there. And I look forward to changing that and doing the next episode, the problem with black people. And then the problem with insert point here that he'll never make. Because
the problem with LGBT people. We'd love to see that.
It's got to be a funny episode. No, of course he's not doing that. So this is Myth Informed making the point that he's fully brought into woke orthodoxy, and we can see it in real time. I mean, we'll play the first clip here in which he says that the United States prioritizes white comfort over black survival. Let's play.
The problem with white people. Hold on. For however sincerely we want to reckon and listen, the truth is America has always prioritized white comfort over black survival. Black people have had to fight so hard for equality that they've been irreparably set back in the pursuit of equity. And any real attempt to repair a ton of that damage, reparation.
It's irreparable, John. You just said it.
Sets off white people's "they're coming for our alarm, which we would know ourselves had we actually been listening.
My feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem, and they should start thinking about what they can do about it. Take me out of it.
Understood.
I can't get over just how ridiculous this whole thing is. I mean, it's such a wayward thing from what he used to do. I mean, start off just with the first point about how we prioritize white comfort over black survival. Why do we let black male teenagers into majority white neighborhoods then? Like, if this is a white supremacist country, genuinely, we would have an apartheid in that regard, surely?
Why was integration something that the white community was in favor of?
But, like, the South African apartheid government wouldn't have done anything the United States does.
Explicitly on the grounds of white comfort.
Yes. So no, just blatantly, obviously no. Okay, but then the point he makes about that it's irreparable damage has been done to blacks and black Americans.
Well, I'm not going to try and fix it then.
You've
literally defined it as unable to be repaired.
I love this. It's not black Africans who come to the United States. They do very well. But black Americans, nothing can be fixed except perhaps the leaders of BLM and their multiple million dollar mansions.
Yeah. Things are going great for them.
I mean, that's an example of how you could get loads of money in the United States if you're black, or, I don't know, Obama, or blah, 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 blah. Name any celebrity or well-to-do black American. You could go for any of them. I suppose you could argue Obama is technically closer to black African, considering he has more
Half
lineage
Kenyan,
there than to the black Americans at all, genetically, point to be mentioned. But then says that, he plays that clip in which it's just like, yeah, black folk don't have a problem. White folk got a problem. It's their problem. Like,
Is it?
What problem? If it's intolerance, I mean, that's gone.
I'm upset. That's your problem. Oh.
That's good for you. Bye. I don't know what to say. It's just ridiculous. If we go to the next one, we can see Jon Stewart also, as Myth-Informed say, going full woke here in another scene in his little podcast now, in which he had a guy on and was just unreasonably rude to this chap. And I think we'll see why. We'll play the first one. I do have some criticisms of his argumentation as well, but we'll play this just to see how it went.
We have an awful history. Its remnants are still felt today.
We also have a great history, John.
Say it again?
We also have a great history.
But I think you're minimizing it. You're suggesting that because
I think by calling today white supremacy, you are minimizing actual white supremacy. You have an incredible diversity. To condemn all American history as racist.
I disagree that they're generalizing all white people. The systems that were racist that were put in place.
Systems?
Yes. The systems that were put in place.
I'd like you to explain exactly what they are.
Well, I thought I explained it earlier about the GI Bill and about the New Deal.
That's one thing. I want to know about these systems.
I just explained it. Housing.
That's
food.
one, and I've agreed that.
Andrew, you're not living on the same planet we are. Honestly. I really don't think you are.
You're not living. I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which is why this kind of extremism, this anti-white extremism, is losing popular support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
Oof. I mean, great points by him there. I did want to mention, I did have one criticism, though, of him, which is that he could have, I think, won more people over if he was just like, well, yeah, here's the racist laws of the American past. You know, you've got blah, 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 Jim Crow legislation or blah, 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 right? You know, slavery, all the rest of it. But then, you know, make that point and then be like, yeah, so what's systems? Because you're going to talk about the Constitution, aren't you?
Yeah.
And say the entire founding of the United States is itself racist because that's woke dogma. Not the individual laws you can point to and then repeal. No, the entire structure of a free liberal democratic society is white supremacy to you people. Like, I think he should have made that more clear.
Yeah.
But
and he should have demanded how he explained that some black people are billionaires and some aren't. A white supremacist system wouldn't permit that.
But he makes the great point there at the end, though, which is that your anti-white extremism is literally losing you popular support. Demonstrably.
Shock and surprise.
Out in the polls. And getting Republicans elected. And good. I mean, you've said before we started, more of this. More of this on mainstream TV.
Yeah.
I want
Jon Stewart, to double down. It's like, okay, now the problem with all white people. That's what I want to hear next, John.
Oh, no, he does that in this clip.
I mean, he literally said, I'm not generalizing all white people. Oh, aren't you?
I know, he'll do it in literally a minute.
Okay.
And I also wanted to mention the chap that was invited on there. He was invited on, and he was asked, we're doing a show on whiteness. And he was just like, I'm not joining a show just to be called racist. No, thanks. And then the PA was like, oh, no. It won't be a debate. It'll just be a one-on-one with Jon Stewart. And he was like, oh, sure, fine. And then he's like logged on, and then he's told there's two other people. Oh, great. So it is a debate. And also the show's called The Problem with White People. Just open liar from Jon Stewart's team there.
Yeah, but this is nothing new.
Smear him.
This is nothing new. They used to do the same thing back when it was The Daily Show with him. And Gavin McInnes had a thing where he recorded behind the scenes and they chopped it all up and then made him look. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gavin McInnes is a pretty extreme comedian. And so, you know, he deliberately is provocative. And they just totally misrepresented his position. This is nothing new for them.
No, just
absolute lies.
Open smear merchants in this regard. So if we go to the next clip, we can also see the lady next to him, as you can see, was getting very flustered. Decided to go on some racist rant saying that all white people are responsible for all American history, as in, like, you know, all the Jim Crow stuff is your fault.
All Democrats are groomers, Callum.
Yeah, let's play.
What happens when white people don't talk about it is you have racist dog whistle tropes like this that actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. So I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with white men at Race to Dinner.
I'm out.
You know, because quite honestly, if white men were going to do something about racism, you had 400 years. You could have done it. Okay?
She's looking out at the plantation.
I'm shutting you down right now.
I am not responsible for anyone before me.
Oh, God.
White women be quiet challenge. How about that? Do we need to hear from another white woman on anything?
Certainly not that one. I love the points. Again, I don't engage with white men. The way you come on a show with white men.
Yeah.
John sat opposite you.
Two white men sat there.
And then one behind you in the box who's going to be smeared the whole time. But also, white men have done nothing for 400 years. Just sat there. I mean, like there are no black people in the audience, obviously, because they're not allowed. They're too busy on the plantation still. Because white men have done nothing for 400 years. Nothing at all. Absolutely not. Didn't fight a war
what I love about
for this.
She's sitting there going, yeah, well, it was white men's job to stop black men from selling each other in slavery.
Oh.
I mean,
it actually was. Like, the British went down and stopped the Africans from selling them.
And as far as she's
slavers.
concerned, that hasn't happened.
It's still going on in Libya.
Sure, but like again, it's the white man's job, and she's castigating white men for not having prevented this. And it's like you are an open white supremacist yourself. You just don't realize it.
But also Andrew in the back there was racist because he's engaging in racist tropes. The racist trope of asking for specific systems.
Asking for proof.
Yes.
Evidence.
That's a racist trope.
Yes.
I suppose so. She's not done.
Asking for proof that they're not groomers is groomer supremacy.
She then decides
to
go off and say that all white people are responsible, and she means it. She doesn't mean white men. She means all white people. All of you. Okay. All of you are wrong. All of you are evil. Let's play.
All of us white people do this. I don't care if we say we're abolitionists. I don't care if we say we're progressive. I don't care if we're literally members of the KKK. Every single white person upholds these systems and structures of white supremacy, and we have got to talk about it.
If I could finger snap, I would finger snap right now. Let's remove it then from the
calling me a racist, John.
You've been doing a pretty good job with it yourself there. So,
what did he say that was racist?
That is amazing.
Literally nothing.
That is amazing. Like Jon Stewart has gone full critical race theory here.
Yeah, he's full on board in the ideology.
That is mad. That is absolutely mad.
The whole environment is insane.
The woman is literally sat there going, look, I don't distinguish between an abolitionist and a KKK member.
The West Africa Squadron and the Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically the same. There's literally no distinction between them at all, in my opinion. And Jon Stewart's like, yeah, this guy's like, yeah, she's calling me a racist. And Jon Stewart's like, you are. It's like, what?
For what? Name it.
Well, it's for not opposing.
For being white.
For not opposing the United States. That's what it is.
But then John presumably is in there as well. I also just, the audience, I can't get over how
Well, John reckons the audience are fake, and they might be.
No, I genuinely think they're real, because this has happened many times before. You may remember, what was it? One of the other late night ha-ha men who decided to just go, white people, and then the audience just started like
Jimmy
booing.
Kimmel, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, no, and there was another one, like, white people are set to become a minority in America, and the audience are cheering. He's just like,
that's the one.
Oh, God.
In which Jimmy Kimmel's audience went mad with clapping and applauding and whooping. And it's just, okay, I can't believe that this is the genuine audience of these people.
I mean, these things are filmed in California, so yeah.
Anyway, but we move on, because then Andrew Sullivan here, the chap who was being smeared and was, well, misled as well. He wrote a big article, of course, calling it the problem with Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Accurate. And he lists in here how the production team were just sneaky and just deceitful to him as well, which is horrible. So there's another point as to why Jon Stewart has gone mad.
Yeah, I read through this. It's really good.
Yeah, but then he also mentions that lady there. Stewart invited on and fawned over a woman named Lisa Bond, who runs an organization called Race to Dinner. She charges white women $2,500 per dinner to be harangued for their racism.
Everyone's got a fetish, Callum.
I can't get over there are white women in America willing to pay that money, but I guess as a fetish, they run high. And if you believe, as the vast majority of Americans do, that racism is a pejorative generalization about a whole group of people solely because of their skin color, Lisa Bond is unequivocally a racist and, by the way, a sexist.
See, now this is why it's actually pertinent to bring up the link to the podcast we did about this, because this is what is known by Kimberly Crenshaw as the narrow definition of racism. It's in racism as procedure.
The accurate one.
Yes, the liberal way, but they call it the narrow definition because narrow sounds bad. Can't be good if it's narrow. She has the expansive definition of racism, where racism is the consequence of structures and systems, and therefore nobody's intent matters whatsoever.
Also, the narrow definition would apply to a narrow percentage of the population.
Yes,
as in a vanishingly narrow percentage.
That's true.
And therefore, she couldn't get paid well, $2,500 to tell white women they're racist.
And you wouldn't be able to call abolitionists the moral equivalent of the KKK?
No. And I wanted to compare this because I know there's a lot of criticism or at least skepticism that Jon Stewart had ever said anything, remotely different from this, or at least he's always been left-leaning. I'll grant that, absolutely. And he's always been apparently a bit of an asshole with regards to being deceitful to people on his own show.
Yeah, but that was stuff that he only found out, honestly, with the advent of the internet.
I think it was Nikki Hassan or whatever his name is, the moron who...
Mehdi Hassan?
Yeah, Mehdi Hassan. He got... no, it's not Mehdi Hassan. That's another guy. But he did a show on Saudi Arabia and then had it pulled because, well, how dare you insult the glory of Saudi Arabia? Anyway, but back in the day, Jon Stewart did actually do things that were more sensible by a country mile. As you can see here, this is the rally for sanity.
The rally to restore sanity. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a clip in here which he literally just calls out himself from the future, which is just people who can't distinguish between actual racists and average people need to be kept out of politics. Let's play it.
Not being able to distinguish between real racists and Tea Partiers, or real bigots and Juan Williams or Rick Sanchez is an insult, not only to those people, but to the racists themselves who have put in the exhausting effort it takes to hate.
My God.
I know, right?
Oh, my God.
I'm going to distinguish here. I'm going to call that chap John Leibowitz and the other chap Jon Stewart. Because John Leibowitz, this chap here, you could imagine that being said and him campaigning there at a Republican rally.
Oh, yeah.
All those American flags.
Yeah.
MAGA guys in the audience cheering him on, going, that's absolutely right, bro.
You can see this is before he adopted, and back in 2010 this was, you can see this is before he adopted critical race theory as his organizing principle of reality. And so now the United States is an entirely intrinsically racist project because it's the expansive definition. He was referring specifically there to the restrictive definition.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mr. Leibowitz here, being a good guy, the kind of guy that every proud American could cheer on and be like, that's a good point, I stand with you.
Yes, it was a good point.
Denouncing Mr. Stewart,
who 12 years later can't distinguish between the KKK and abolitionists. Unreal.
Unbelievable. And if we move forward, we can also see the experts. Remember the race to dinner people?
Oh, yes.
That Andrew Sullivan was talking about. Well, Myth Informed also have loads of clips of them, and I don't have time for them, so we won't play them, but also because they're a bit weirdy. But as you can see, in this one, they have Jon Stewart's race experts claiming that every immigrant group believes they are superior to black Americans. So presumably, we need to build a wall to keep out all that racism that's pouring into the country. But they don't realize that.
Immigrants are racist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I don't know how you say her name. Sario?
Oh, Sahiro.
Sahiro.
I can't remember her name.
Samira Sagiro says that she asked who was racist in the room at her conferences, and she's the only one that ever raises her hand as well, and then complains about
Sayra Rao, I think her name is. I debated
Rao.
it, didn't I?
Yeah, and she says that she's the only one at a conference there when asked who's racist in the room. She's the only one who puts her hand up, and she was whining about that because other people aren't honest in her opinion. No, the rest of us just aren't racist, love. It's just you. If we go to the next one, we can also see them whining about white women. Again, I don't know why they decided to make white women their enemy.
I don't blame them.
Brilliant move. They
a good start.
White women aren't trustworthy with anything, and also white women who are married to black men will never be accepted by black women.
Why is that the white woman's problem?
Damn white women. They give the reason, which is that 55% of them vote for Donald Trump, and therefore they can't be trusted ever.
I agree.
Interesting. And if we move forward,
white women.
If you don't know who Miss Rao is, I thought we'd enjoy just literal anti-white extremism.
Oh, she's a lunatic.
It's mad. Her saying here, being in a predominantly black space is devastating and violent and not safe. Did I say black? I meant white. So that's the thing as well. If you change any of these, and I'm going to, white for black, holy crap, it comes out as the KKK, doesn't it? Being in a predominantly black space is devastating, violent, and not safe. Move forward. Black men with machine guns don't make me feel safer. Jesus, Rao.
Okay, yeah.
Go to the next one. Black feelings are responsible for so much death and destruction.
Okay.
Twitter account verified.
Yeah, that's a spicy take.
How to get away with them. And if we go to the next one, we did not make everything about race. White people did, she says, as I showed. All of her activism is about white politics, white identity politics, and black identity politics. There's also the fact that this is a bin that you've run into before.
Yes.
If we go to the next one, we can see that debate as it went, and we'll enjoy a clip from that, which is her realizing that she's an idiot, because you pointed out that at the time of recording, the Queen was a woman, the Prime Minister was a woman, the Home Secretary was a woman, blah, 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 blah. The Scottish leader of the Parliament was a woman, so the whole country was being ran by a woman.
Therefore, I'm being institutionally oppressed as a man.
How did she respond? Let's play.
Obviously,
that might be the greatest quote of all time. I don't feel like I have institutional power as a white man. Okay.
Well, all the institutions seem to be ruled over by women. So...
Okay.
Well, so does this make me oppressed?
Oh my God. I can't even answer that.
And then she got butthurt and left.
The answer to that is, of course, yes.
Yeah, according to intersectional logic. Yeah. I suppose I'd also end this off with one more thing from Jon Stewart, because I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember this story? Anti-white COVID rescue plan from Biden?
Oh, yeah, because it was due to privilege black people or
if you
Latinos
if you were white, you were at the back of the queue for receiving funds. So the funds would run out tactically before it ever got to a white recipient. So it was a way of legalizing racial discrimination amongst the Biden campaign. $29 billion would likely be distributed before Greer and other white male applicants made it to the front of the line. It's a direct quote.
It's mad.
I mean, it is unbelievable they tried to do this and it just went under the radar. Like, I didn't see this becoming like, holy crap, what the hell is going on? Because this is Zimbabwe levels of insane racial politics going into the money supply and into the food supply here. If here's the next one, Jon Stewart was whining about this with Cory Booker, in which he was like, how dare white people shut this down? And even Booker himself is like, wait, no, John, no, it's not white people who have done this. It's the Supreme Court. And Jon Stewart's like, no, it's the white people, isn't it? It's like,
I love you two racist for Cory Booker.
Like,
he's woke as well.
Like, Cory Booker's out there like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, I'm not blaming all white farmers for this. And then Jon Stewart's like, no, denounce them. They're white. They've done this. And he's just like, no.
Very few black farmers are existing. Sorry, God.
Yeah, so that's too racist even for Cory Booker there. And if we go on to the next one, we'll just have a last thing here, which is some other racial propaganda in which some lady's just like, yes, if you're white, you is bad. All of you, again, from all the way
it's
from...
Leslie Jones.
Yeah, from being
Ghostbusters.
a Klan member to an abolitionist. Again, as you can see.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah, all of you are bad. All of you are racist. All of you are evil people.
What degree of racism are you?
Yes.
Oh, the racism spectrum.
Thanks, Ghostbusters.
Right.
That's the levels. And what was Jon Stewart's response to
Boston.
this?
Boston is extreme racism.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of satire in there, but the messaging is consistent. If you go to the next one, we can see Jon Stewart responding to this, which is just killed it. Fantastic.
John, why did you decide to go woke?
I don't know. Something happened to that man, and clearly it was being indoctrinated or falling for it, or just, I don't know if he was on this trajectory for always, but he certainly wasn't back in the day when he was giving those speeches.
No.
Back in those days, that's a MAGA speech.
He was a reasonable liberal back in the day, and then he became a communist.
If anyone watches us from the MAGA campaign, please take that clip and just play it behind Trump at some rally.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Because it will cause mayhem, if nothing else. And also...
I agree with 2010 Jon Stewart.
Yeah, if you know anyone in the MAGA campaigning groups as well, just send them this idea.
Yeah.
Let them do it. The clip will be available somewhere, and you'll be able to find it easily. But otherwise, we'll end that there. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series that Josh does, this one between Josh and Thomas, on the philosophy of aesthetics. Also, if you'd like to follow Thomas, you can follow him on Getter at Thomas Dowling on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.